Have you ever pondered the reason behind the seemingly disparate paths people tread, where some individuals appear to evolve with a quiet grace, while others remain ensnared, perpetually revisiting the same disappointments, relentlessly seeking validation, and never quite achieving that pivotal breakthrough? Herein lies a profound truth often overlooked: genuine transformation, that deeply personal metamorphosis, rarely occurs amidst self-justification. It isn't born from the pursuit of amplified volume, increased velocity, or heightened visibility. Rather, it blossoms in the hushed solitude, within those unseen moments of quiet dedication. Think of those early mornings, filled with purposeful action, or the disciplined choices made when no one is watching, or the deliberate labor that subtly reshapes you from the very core of your being. Consequently, this is where the principles of Stoicism resonate most powerfully, for they do not prescribe external performance. Instead, they advocate for focused attention, for the cultivation of an inner fortitude so robust that the external world is powerless to undermine it. Therefore, today, we embark on an exploration of why silence should not be mistaken for weakness. Rather, it represents a deliberate strategy. We will delve into how concentrating on your individual journey, detached from the compulsion to be noticed, unlocks a level of clarity and inherent strength that remains inaccessible to the vast majority of individuals. Those individuals who genuinely mold their destinies, those rare souls who attain a degree of success that extends beyond mere external validation and permeates their inner selves, possess an understanding that eludes most of humanity. They have successfully accessed a unique form of wisdom that requires no external audience. This is a wisdom forged in the fires of introspection and self-reliance, a wisdom that whispers truths only audible in the quiet chambers of the heart. The quiet strength one gains from this focus is far more potent than any fleeting praise or fleeting attention. Thus, embracing this philosophy allows for a richer, more meaningful existence, one built on the solid foundation of self-awareness and inner peace. The journey toward authentic transformation begins not with outward displays, but with the inward cultivation of unwavering strength and unwavering focus. Individuals who are truly focused are not consumed by the urge to broadcast their every action or rationalize each decision they make. They abstain from living in a constant state of justification, unlike many who are preoccupied with winning debates, seeking external approval, or meticulously curating a flawless public image. Instead, these individuals are quietly and persistently laying the foundation for something significant. They progress with a serene assurance, a quality that stems from an intrinsic lack of dependence on outside validation. They have cultivated the ability to discover tranquility in forward momentum and to derive profound significance from disciplined adherence to their goals. And here lies the intriguing paradox: the less these individuals verbalize, the more potent their presence appears. There is an undeniable magnetism emanating from those who operate with quietude. You can innately perceive this quality when you are in their vicinity. Their mere presence communicates volumes without the need for spoken words. You can feel the intensity of their focus, the lucidity of their thinking, and the profound stillness that resides within them. Remarkably, none of this emanates from a conscious effort to appear impressive or garner attention. The ancient philosopher Plato once articulated, "Wise men speak because they have something of substance to impart. Fools, on the other hand, speak simply because they feel compelled to say something, anything." Therefore, the essence of this concept is not about suppressing one's voice altogether. Rather, it emphasizes the critical importance of ensuring that one's utterances are firmly rooted in genuine substance and meaningful content, rather than being mere empty noise or superficial pronouncements. Consequently, what intrinsic characteristic of silence grants it such extraordinary power? This is a question worth exploring, as it delves into the very heart of effective communication and the art of impactful presence. Is it merely a matter of exercising self-restraint? Is it simply about steering clear of inconsequential chit-chat or sidestepping unnecessary drama? Absolutely not. Authentic silence, the profound kind that truly transforms the individual, is far from being a passive state. It is not merely the absence of uttered words, rather, it is the powerful presence of profound depth. It is, in fact, an active and intentional pursuit. Indeed, it is within this intentional quietude that one's awareness becomes acutely sharpened, allowing thoughts to gently settle, and enabling inner energy to gather and reorganize itself. This is not a vacuum, but a space brimming with penetrating insights, untapped potential, and crystal-clear clarity. When we consciously choose to withdraw from the unremitting sensory stimulation of the external world, our brains do not simply cease functioning, instead, they undergo a significant shift in operational mode. The mind commences to operate in a distinctly different and more productive manner. Within that profound stillness, something truly incredible and life-altering unfolds. We begin to perceive ourselves with an unprecedented clarity. The mental fog that once obscured our vision begins to dissipate, and the path that lies ahead gradually starts to reveal itself, not because someone else has graciously handed it to us, but because we have finally and deliberately created the necessary space for it to naturally emerge. The eminent Carl Jung captured this profound concept with remarkable precision when he stated, "Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes." Therefore, in the embrace of genuine silence, we awaken to the ingrained patterns that govern our lives. We begin to consciously hear the stories that we have been incessantly repeating in our own minds. We are then compelled to confront the underlying discomforts that we have previously numbed through the constant bombardment of noise and distractions. Consequently, silence becomes not an avoidance, but an active engagement with the self. And that is the precise reason why a significant portion of people avoid silence, because silence possesses an unflinching honesty. It does not permit you to conceal your true self. In the realm of silence, your doubts emerge, your guilt becomes apparent, and your insecurities are laid bare. And instead of confronting these inner turmoils directly, the vast majority of individuals seize their smartphones, open a fresh internet tab, engage in heated online debates with strangers, anything to evade the prospect of being alone with their own thoughts. However, avoidance is far from a neutral act. What you actively avoid does not simply vanish into thin air, instead, it buries itself deeper within your psyche, quietly depleting your vitality from the inside out. It fragments your ability to focus intently, it whispers confusing and contradictory messages into your decision-making processes. And consequently, you soon begin to wonder why you feel perpetually exhausted, even when you have not engaged in substantial physical or mental exertion. You question why you feel stuck in a rut, even when your schedule is overflowing with activities. That unexplainable weariness is the accumulated weight of unprocessed thoughts, the tax levied by unresolved inner tensions. So why, then, do we persistently choose the noise, the constant distraction? It is because we have been conditioned, through societal messaging and reinforcement, to equate being seen, being recognized, with being valuable. The more attention we garner, the more important and significant we perceive ourselves to be. But the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle offered a profound warning long before the advent of social media and the internet age. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than upon mere survival. Therefore, constantly seeking attention, validation, and external approval is a form of mere survival, a preoccupation with the superficial. It is a strategy to avoid the deeper, more challenging inner work that is required for true self-understanding and personal growth. This relentless pursuit of attention keeps your mind on edge, perpetually reacting to external stimuli, never affording itself the opportunity for meaningful reflection and contemplation. The quiet power of introspection is lost in the din of constant external validation. Imagine, if you will, the profound shift that would occur if you consciously chose to cease reacting impulsively to every external stimulus. Consider the possibilities if you deliberately stopped the constant need to explain yourself, instead embracing a path of quiet confidence and assured self-possession. What transformative power might be unleashed if you prioritized observation over incessant chatter, and dedicated yourself more to purposeful action than to ephemeral online pronouncements? The immediate benefit would be a significant conservation of precious energy. You would, in essence, reclaim the substantial mental bandwidth that has been gradually, almost imperceptibly, draining away through a multitude of trivial interactions and inconsequential exchanges. This newly available energy, a veritable wellspring of potential, could then be strategically invested in the pursuit of mastery, the dedicated and focused development of skills and expertise. It could be channeled into the construction of something truly meaningful, a lasting legacy that resonates with purpose and passion. Ultimately, it could enable you to live a life that feels deeply aligned with your authentic self, a life driven by intrinsic values rather than the fleeting validation of external admiration. Socrates, the renowned philosopher, famously declared, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And it is within the profound depths of silence, a true and reflective silence, that this crucial self-examination truly begins. This is not a silence guided by the manipulative algorithms of social media, the fleeting trends of popular culture, or the hollow applause of superficial approval. Rather, it is a silence cultivated through honest self-inquiry, a journey into the core of your being. It is the kind of profound stillness that allows your truest self to emerge, unburdened by the expectations and judgments of the external world. Indeed, your brain, despite the relentless suggestions of the modern world, is inherently ill-equipped to process the overwhelming influx of thousands of opinions each and every day. It was not designed for the constant barrage of multitasking, the knee-jerk reactions, and the endless comparisons that characterize contemporary life. Its true power lies in its capacity to focus intently, to assess situations with clarity and discernment, and to adapt strategically to changing circumstances. But when it is constantly overwhelmed by the incessant noise of the digital age, the pervasive gossip, the endless scrolling, and the unnecessary drama, it inevitably begins to misfire, leading to a state of cognitive overload and diminished performance. Therefore, choosing silence, choosing reflection, is not merely an option, it is a necessity for reclaiming your mental well-being and unlocking your full potential. When your mind becomes clouded, your ability to think with precision diminishes, and you start losing touch with reality, the solid ground beneath your feet seems to disappear. Consequently, you begin to forfeit that vital edge, that sharpness, that unwavering decisiveness that once defined you and fueled your purpose. And what is the true price you pay? It extends far beyond mere fatigue or fleeting distractions. You risk losing something much more profound, your very intuition. You gradually dull that crucial instinct, the innate compass that once guided you to make audacious, impactful decisions. This subtle, insidious erosion of inner clarity is significantly more perilous than any isolated misstep. Why? Because without that essential clarity, you begin to lose faith in yourself. Doubt creeps in, causing you to hesitate, to constantly question your judgment. But consider for a moment, what if you were to choose an entirely different path? Imagine the possibilities. What would your life resemble if you were to actively reclaim your attention, consciously redirecting it inward, toward your core values and aspirations? What kind of person would you evolve into if your sense of self, your very identity, was built not upon the fleeting, often superficial perceptions of the outside world, but rather on the profound, unwavering knowledge of your true self? Reflect on the progress you could achieve if you relinquished the need for external validation, for loud pronouncements of your accomplishments. What if you simply dedicated yourself to the work, silently, patiently, diligently, allowing the tangible results to speak volumes on your behalf? Therefore, ask yourself this crucial question: how frequently are you surrendering precious moments, squandering invaluable opportunities, and even sacrificing entire days, all in reaction to trivial, ultimately meaningless distractions? It's not necessarily because these distractions possess inherent power or allure, but rather because of their relentless persistence. A notification here, a sensationalized headline there, a petty argument that lingers in your mind far longer than it deserves. These seemingly insignificant interruptions chip away at your focus, eroding your clarity and hindering your progress. It is imperative to recognize these insidious threats and actively cultivate a space of focused intention. Only then can you reclaim your edge, sharpen your instincts, and achieve your true potential. And before you know it, your day has vanished, not truly lived, but rather dissipated into a myriad of distractions. You experience a profound sense of depletion, not from dedicated effort, but from a pervasive fragmentation, akin to 1,000 tiny paper cuts. These cuts, although seemingly insignificant individually, don't bleed you dry in one fell swoop. Instead, they gradually erode your focus, your drive, and your mental clarity over time. How frequently do you find yourself utterly exhausted, not due to strenuous physical exertion, but because your precious attention has been relentlessly pulled in countless directions? It's crucial to understand that this sensation is more than just a mere feeling, it's a demonstrable neurological reality, firmly rooted in the intricate workings of your brain. Your brain, with particular emphasis on your prefrontal cortex, is inherently designed for deliberate, focused thought, for sustained concentration, and for visionary thinking. It flourishes when presented with clarity, not when subjected to relentless chaos. When the prefrontal cortex is afforded the precious gift of silence, it undergoes a process of resetting, of recalibration. In this state, it naturally begins to regain its capacity for profound focus. And it is out of this essential silence that something truly remarkable, something that most individuals sadly never truly tap into, begins to emerge: control. But what exactly is control, in its truest essence? It's decidedly not about wielding power over others or about rigidly suppressing one's emotions. Control, in its most profound form, is ultimately about self-mastery. It is the remarkable state where your actions are perfectly aligned with your deepest values, regardless of who might be observing you at any given moment. The ancient philosopher Aristotle astutely observed, "What lies in our power to do, lies in our power not to do." This encapsulates the very essence of true control, choosing consciously not to react impulsively, choosing not to constantly feel the need to prove oneself, and choosing not to perpetually perform for the perceived approval of others. This is the real power, the power of self-determination. And that power, the power to truly shape your destiny, resides within your prefrontal cortex. It doesn't reside in the limbic system, that primal part of your brain that constantly urges you to scroll endlessly through social media, engage in pointless arguments, or fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others. No, this vital power dwells in the part of you that thoughtfully plans, intensely focuses, and steadfastly commits to action. Here's a fundamental truth that both psychology and philosophy unequivocally agree on: your true identity isn't molded by the words you speak, but rather by the actions you consistently undertake. You can proclaim to the world that you are disciplined, driven, and supremely focused. However, if your actual behavior paints a different picture, your brain, that intricate and honest organ, inherently knows the truth. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist, once profoundly stated, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." This isn't merely a poetic or philosophical notion, it's deeply rooted in biology, in the very essence of how your brain functions and evolves. Your brain meticulously wires itself based on repeated actions and consistent habits. Each time you wake up early, embracing the dawn with intention, each time you engage in invigorating exercise, nurturing your body and mind, and each time you resolutely resist the allure of distraction, maintaining your focus on the task at hand, your prefrontal cortex is strengthened. Neural pathways, the very conduits of your thoughts and actions, solidify and become more robust. You're not simply acting differently in those moments, you are actively becoming someone fundamentally different, someone more capable and more aligned with your goals. But isn't motivation supposed to play a significant role in all of this? Isn't that what ideally keeps us moving forward, driving us towards our aspirations? Here's a crucial insight that most people often overlook: true and lasting motivation isn't external, it's profoundly neurological. You don't derive enduring drive and determination from external applause or fleeting validation. Instead, you cultivate it from the tangible feeling of progress, from the intrinsic reward of seeing yourself move closer to your goals, one step at a time. It's the neurological satisfaction of achievement that fuels the engine of lasting motivation. Dopamine, that crucial brain chemical fueling our motivation, doesn't surge through your system merely when you receive external praise. Instead, it ignites when you witness your own progress, that tangible sense of self-improvement. Consider the satisfaction of completing another chapter in a book, the exhilaration of running just one more mile, the quiet triumph of keeping a promise to yourself. And here's where it gets truly fascinating. This internal reward system thrives best in the stillness, in those private moments unseen by the world. Think of that dedicated 6 a.m. grind, that mindful decision to eat with intention, that deliberate choice to work diligently instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media. These are the moments when your brain generously rewards you. Therefore, why are we often so eager to prematurely announce our intentions, even before we've taken the first step? I'm going to get in shape, we declare. I'm writing a book, we proclaim. I'm building something big, we announce with fanfare. It undeniably feels good to voice these ambitions. It creates a deceptive illusion of progress, a phantom accomplishment. However, neuroscience presents a contrasting perspective. When you prematurely share your goals with others, your brain releases dopamine as if you've already completed the arduous work required to achieve them. Consequently, you receive a premature reward, a fleeting high without the genuine growth and development. You short-circuit the process. The ancient philosopher Plato astutely observed, the beginning is the most important part of the work. Thus, if you prematurely expend your energy on grand declarations, dissipating your initial momentum, you may never successfully navigate beyond that critical beginning stage. You've already spent the reward, diminishing the drive to actually do the work. So, embrace the quiet grind, the unseen effort, and let the dopamine fuel your actual progress, not just the illusion of it. The real reward awaits on the other side of diligent action. Why does this matter? This question resonates deeply because premature celebration, that intoxicating rush of self-congratulation before genuine achievement, stands as a formidable adversary to true discipline. It's a siren song leading us astray from the path of sustained effort. Specifically, when you inadvertently conflate mere talk with tangible action, you effectively deceive your own nervous system, creating a deceptive, albeit fleeting, feeling of accomplishment. Consequently, you begin to construct an identity not on the solid foundation of demonstrable performance, but rather on the ephemeral sands of public perception. This is a dangerous game. And inevitably, when the applause subsides, when the echoes of praise fade into the background, you are ultimately left with a void, no robust system to support you, no ingrained discipline to guide you, and critically, no sustained momentum to propel you forward. So what's the alternative? What, then, is the more prudent, more effective course of action? The answer, distilled to its essence, is this: say less, do more. Let your actions, not your words, gradually and organically construct the narrative of your progress. Allow the empowering silence, the focused concentration on the task at hand, to be the metaphorical forge where your new, more authentic identity takes shape. This transformation occurs not because you have loudly proclaimed to the world who you are becoming, but because you have quietly, persistently, and deliberately become it. Real transformation doesn't come from posting declarations or collecting claps. Authentic, lasting transformation does not originate from hastily posting grand declarations on social media or from the fleeting validation of collecting online applause. It doesn't stem from perfectly crafted status updates meticulously designed to impress, or from prematurely sharing your ambitious intentions with the world, seeking instant gratification. Instead, it emerges quietly and stubbornly, almost imperceptibly, from the consistent application of your daily systems. It is born from the accumulation of those tiny, often unnoticed, repeated decisions you resolutely make when no one else is watching, when the temptation to slack off is at its strongest. For example, you wake up at precisely the same time each morning, adhering to your self-imposed schedule with unwavering commitment. You consistently show up to your scheduled workout, not because someone is meticulously tracking your progress or holding you accountable, but simply and profoundly because you made a commitment to yourself that you would. You honor that commitment. When you open that book, when you dedicate yourself to that project, when you actively resist the allure of endless scrolling, you are embarking on a journey of profound self-improvement. And in diligently pursuing these actions, you are, in essence, gradually reshaping the very architecture of your brain, and not in some vague, metaphorical sense, but quite literally. Your neural pathways undergo a tangible transformation, leading to the formation of novel circuits dedicated to discipline, unwavering focus, and unyielding drive. Consequently, what the world eventually perceives as a sudden and remarkable change is merely the eventual outcome, a byproduct of the unwavering consistency they failed to acknowledge or perhaps even notice. Why is it that individuals predominantly acknowledge transformation only after its full manifestation? It is because the essence of true growth remains largely imperceptible. It unfolds in the quiet hours of the early mornings, in the still of the late nights, and within the deliberate choice to persevere, to try once more, even when succumbing to the temptation to quit seems easier. The world, enamored by tangible results, remains astonishingly oblivious to the intricate and often arduous process that births them. And here is where the journey takes an uncomfortable turn. Genuine growth not only severs your ties to antiquated habits but also distances you from former iterations of yourself, from individuals who remain inextricably linked to those past versions. Therefore, what transpires when your actions initiate a discernible shift, while your surrounding environment remains unaltered? That is precisely when the friction commences. Those closest to you, your friends, your family, your colleagues, begin to question your actions, not necessarily out of malicious intent, but rather out of their own underlying discomfort with the changes they are witnessing. They are unnerved because your evolution shines a light on their own stagnation. Your evolution, that profound and transformative journey, often disrupts the carefully constructed comfort zones of those around you. It presents a jarring challenge to the fixed, perhaps even idealized, image they've diligently maintained of you for so long. As the insightful Carl Jung so astutely observed, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and by boldly stepping into a new, more authentic version of yourself, you are, in essence, forcing others to reevaluate not only who you are, but perhaps more significantly, who they themselves truly are. This process inevitably raises a crucial question: can you truly handle that disruption? Can you summon the inner strength to remain serenely silent in the face of inevitable confusion, biting criticism, or even outright mockery? Can you steadfastly walk your chosen path, your own unique journey, without desperately needing constant applause and validation for each and every step you take? Because if you possess this remarkable capacity, something truly rare and exceptionally powerful begins to unfold within you. You decisively stop needing external permission. You relinquish the tiresome habit of constantly waiting to be understood, to be fully and completely validated by others. And in so doing, you cultivate a state of being that is internally untouchable, a fortress of self-assurance that cannot be easily penetrated by external forces. You develop a profound and enduring kind of resilience, a resilience that isn't merely reactive, a knee-jerk response to external stimuli. Instead, it becomes deeply rooted within your very being, a steadfast foundation built not because you magically never experience moments of self-doubt, but rather because you have diligently trained yourself to keep resolutely moving forward in the silence, despite the presence of those nagging doubts. This, in essence, is precisely what the ancient Stoic philosophers meant by the profound concept of strength of character. As Marcus Aurelius so eloquently wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." There's absolutely no need to loudly advertise to the world precisely who you are becoming, no compelling need to constantly justify your personal standards, or to endlessly narrate every detail of your self-imposed discipline. Let your actions speak for themselves. Let your character shine through. Let your evolution be its own compelling testament to the power of self-acceptance and unwavering self-belief. Embrace the silence, find your inner strength, and become the person you were always meant to be. Embrace quiet action, be consistent in your endeavors. Delve into the depths of history, and a recurring theme will emerge before you. Those individuals who have left an indelible mark on the world did not dissipate their precious energy in explaining each and every action. Instead, they channeled their efforts into flawless execution, into a continuous process of self-improvement, into the proficient delivery of results. Consider for a moment, lions do not need to announce their presence with grandiose roars that echo through the jungle. They move with stealth and precision, they stalk their prey in silence, focused, deadly, and above all, patient. Similarly, surgeons do not engage in vociferous yelling during the intense moments of an operation. Their movements are precise, their attention unwavering, and every gesture is deliberate and calculated. Their silence is not an indication of absence or indifference, on the contrary, it is a profound demonstration of presence, complete, focused, and deeply immersive. Thus, what if your silence is not an empty void, but rather a powerful signal, a beacon that guides you towards your goals? What if it is not a lack of expression, but the highest and most refined form of discipline? The kind of discipline that does not beg to be acknowledged or seen, because it possesses an intrinsic knowledge of its own inherent value. It is a discipline that does not seek external applause or validation, because its true reward lies in the quiet momentum that builds steadily and persistently beneath the surface. This is the kind of silence that transforms individuals, the kind that eventually speaks with such resounding clarity that words become superfluous and unnecessary. And the fundamental question remains, are you truly willing to become that person, to embrace that silence, even if no one is there to offer applause or recognition? Are you prepared to forge your own path, driven by internal motivation and the satisfaction of achievement, regardless of external validation? This is the essence of true power and lasting impact. Attention, in its essence, transcends mere focus. It is, in fact, a tangible form of energy, a real, biological force within us. And just like any other form of energy that powers our world, this precious resource is finite, it eventually runs out. You are allocated a certain, limited amount of this energy each day. Your brain, the remarkable control center, operates through the intricate dance of neurotransmitters, specifically norepinephrine and acetylcholine. These are the very chemicals that fuel your capacity to concentrate with unwavering intensity, meticulously plan your actions, and act with deliberate purpose. However, it is crucial to understand that these vital chemical messengers are not inexhaustible. Every single time you impulsively check your phone without a valid reason, each instance you open 5 tabs on your browser only to find yourself unable to commit to any single one, and every moment you engage in an argument solely for the sake of proving a point, you are, in effect, spending that valuable energy, depleting it little by little. Distraction, in its insidious nature, robs you of the mental clarity that you could otherwise have invested in constructing something truly substantial, something that holds genuine significance and lasting value. How often do we, perhaps unknowingly, surrender our most productive hours to pursuits that offer no nourishment to our minds, that fail to challenge us to grow, or to propel us forward on our chosen path? This pattern of behavior often feels almost automatic, ingrained in our daily routines. But consider this: what if you deliberately chose silence instead? What if, in a moment of intense temptation, you consciously paused, not as an act of mere avoidance, but rather as a demonstration of your inner power and self-control? That pause, seemingly insignificant, holds immense power. Because when you actively choose silence, you are, in effect, choosing clarity. You are reclaiming your attention and directing it towards what truly matters. Thus, by practicing mindful silence, you can conserve your energy, sharpen your focus, and ultimately, achieve your goals with greater efficiency and purpose. You grant your brain the much-needed breathing room it so desperately requires, thus allowing it to begin functioning from a position of strategic thinking rather than one of overwhelming stress. Consequently, you empower the deeper strata of your mind, those areas intimately responsible for long-term foresight, boundless creativity, and the very formation of your individual identity, to emerge and take the helm. And here lies the profound irony of it all: silence may appear outwardly still and uneventful, but internally, it is anything but static. It is, in fact, vibrantly alive, intensely dynamic, a veritable battleground where thoughts and emotions clash and coalesce. Merely sitting in silence is not a passive endeavor, rather, it is a courageous act of profound self-confrontation. Why, you might ask? Because silence compels you to confront what the vast majority of us spend our entire lives assiduously avoiding: ourselves, our deepest-seated doubts, our unexamined and unprocessed pain, and the narratives we have been unconsciously reciting to ourselves for years, narratives we have never paused to question or challenge. The eminent Carl Jung, a towering figure in the field of psychology, understood this truth with remarkable depth and clarity. He famously wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." In the hushed stillness of silence, the unconscious mind, that vast and often turbulent ocean within us, begins to stir and rise to the surface. All the thoughts, feelings, and experiences you have diligently buried beneath layers of distractions, like treasures sunk deep in the sea, inevitably come floating back up. And when they do, when those long-suppressed elements of your inner world finally present themselves, you are faced with a crucial choice, a pivotal moment of decision. You can either choose to numb them once again, retreating back into the familiar comfort of avoidance, or you can summon the courage to truly engage with them, to explore their depths, and ultimately, to integrate them into the tapestry of your conscious awareness. This engagement, though potentially challenging, is the pathway to profound healing, self-understanding, and ultimately, liberation from the unconscious forces that may have been subtly shaping your life. True engagement, that is the very crucible where authentic growth truly takes root and flourishes. It is in the demanding arena of engagement that emotional fortitude, that unwavering inner strength, is painstakingly forged and refined. The question then arises, how exactly does one cultivate such fortitude? How does one meticulously construct a nervous system, one that doesn't succumb to the paralyzing grip of panic when confronted with discomfort, but instead, responds with unwavering precision and focused determination? The answer, surprisingly simple yet profoundly challenging, lies in deliberately lingering in the silence for a duration just a hair longer than what feels comfortable. Each and every instance you consciously resist the instinctive urge to reply impulsively, to vehemently defend your ego, or to desperately chase that fleeting hit of external approval, you are, in essence, actively rewiring the very intricate neural pathways of your brain. You are diligently teaching it to prioritize purpose, that deep-seated sense of meaning and direction, over mere performance, the superficial pursuit of external validation. As the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates once wisely proclaimed, the greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be. This profound statement underscores the importance of aligning our actions with our aspirations. Therefore, each time you consciously choose the power of silence over the reactive impulse, you take a significant step closer to embodying that ideal. You gradually start becoming the very version of yourself that doesn't merely talk a good game about growth, but actually embodies it in every facet of your being. You pursue this growth not for the sake of appearances, not for the hollow applause of others, but because it is intrinsically aligned with who you are resolutely choosing to become, especially in those unguarded moments when no one else is watching. And let us not delude ourselves into believing that this internal training is a walk in the park. It is, in reality, a messy and often arduous process. Some days, it may feel as though you are making substantial progress, steadily climbing the mountain. On other days, it may feel as though you are regressing, sliding backward down the slope. But over the course of time, with consistent effort and unwavering dedication, the very architecture of your mind will inevitably begin to shift, slowly but surely transforming into a more resilient and purpose-driven structure. Therefore, embrace the silence, embrace the discomfort, and embrace the journey of becoming. The interval between an initiating stimulus and our corresponding response gradually expands. The intense craving for external recognition slowly fades into the background. Consequently, a profound shift occurs within. Replacing that neediness is a quiet confidence, an inner assurance that resonates deeply. This isn't a superficial boast, but rather, a deeper knowing. This intrinsic awareness doesn't clamor for attention or feel the need to announce itself to the world. Why? Because it's firmly rooted in something far stronger and more enduring than external validation. It's anchored in self-respect, a bedrock of unwavering self-belief. Consider this scenario. Imagine waking up each morning with an unshakable conviction, knowing, truly knowing, the very essence of what you're building, the trajectory of who you're becoming, and the profound reason why you're dedicated to this path. There's no noise in your mind, no distracting voices pulling you toward the treacherous terrain of comparison with others. There's no obsessive fixation on being understood or seeking approval from external sources. Instead, there's simply clarity, a deep, grounded sense of direction that remains steadfast and unyielding. This sense of purpose doesn't depend on whether anyone else sees it, comprehends it, or even approves of it. This extraordinary kind of clarity doesn't materialize through rounds of applause and external accolades. Rather, it's painstakingly built through silence, a period of introspection and quiet reflection. It's cultivated slowly, steadily, and often in solitude, away from the distractions and pressures of the outside world. As a result, you begin to live not for external validation, but for something far more meaningful, alignment. When your core identity seamlessly matches your actions, day after day, a profoundly powerful transformation takes place within. You stop needing to be told you're doing well because you possess an inherent understanding of your progress and achievements. You know you are excelling, progressing, and fulfilling your purpose. Why is this state of being so remarkably hard for most people to access and fully embrace? The answer lies in the pervasive societal conditioning that has taught us to chase visibility instead of cultivating genuine mastery. We are often encouraged to broadcast effort rather than quietly embody it. We are taught to seek external praise instead of fostering internal validation. Therefore, the true path to fulfillment lies in cultivating self-respect, embracing solitude, and aligning our actions with our deepest values. Only then can we unlock the quiet confidence that resides within. However, here's a point of convergence between neuroscience and philosophy. Your brain does not construct your identity based on mere verbal affirmations, instead, it forges it from your actions. The prefrontal cortex, considered the epicenter of logic, strategic planning, and self-discipline, remains unimpressed by your declared intentions. To illustrate, utter the phrase, "I am focused," yet spend your day engulfed in chaos. Your brain will inevitably detect this incongruity. This discrepancy generates internal conflict, a form of cognitive dissonance that gradually wears away at your motivation over the course of time. Conversely, should you reverse this dynamic, so that your behavior consistently mirrors your stated goals, even in moments of solitude, then your brain begins to internalize these actions. It identifies patterns, repetition, and a profound sense of commitment, which in turn, establishes a stable sense of identity. Consequently, true motivation originates internally, not as a result of external validation or praise, but rather because you have remained true to your own word and values. What manifestations are evident when this transformation takes hold within you? You will initiate to yearn for tangible progress more so than external praise. You will select consistency and sustained effort in preference to momentary spectacle. Your dopamine system, a crucial component of your brain's reward mechanism, will undergo a significant recalibration. It will no longer experience a surge in response to a mere notification or a social media like, but instead, it will react to the quiet yet profound sense of accomplishment, completing the task you committed to finishing, persevering through inherent resistance, and upholding yourself to a higher standard of excellence without the need for external witnesses or validation. This is the true essence of internal motivation. Therefore, embrace the journey, prioritize your actions, and witness the transformative power of self-discipline. The esteemed Plato, the great philosopher, once penned these profound words: "The first and best victory is to conquer self." This ultimate triumph, that of self-mastery, is achieved not in the clamor of public display, but in the quietude of contemplation. Have you ever stopped to consider how those individuals whom you genuinely hold in the highest regard seldom feel the need to incessantly explain themselves? They don't squander their precious energy in the laborious defense of their methodologies or in meticulously detailing each and every one of their actions. Instead, they allow their work, the tangible fruits of their labor, to eloquently speak for itself. Their concentration is laser-focused, a beam of unwavering intent, and their self-discipline is abundantly evident, not through bombastic slogans or declarative statements, but through the consistent stream of remarkable results that they unfailingly produce. This isn't merely a display of unwavering confidence, it's a testament to profound clarity, and clarity, as it happens to be, is arguably one of the most potent psychological instruments at our disposal, a tool that can unlock unparalleled potential. So, one might reasonably ask, why do these individuals consciously choose silence as their preferred mode of operation? The answer lies in the fact that silence safeguards something far more invaluable than fleeting public perception or the fickle whims of popular opinion. It diligently protects bandwidth, that precious mental capacity required for deep thought and creative problem-solving. Each and every time you feel compelled to defend your choices, to justify your actions to the skeptical masses, you unwittingly expend mental energy that could have been far more productively channeled into refining those very choices, into honing your craft and perfecting your art. Similarly, every occasion you dedicate to explaining your visionary concept to someone who fundamentally lacks the capacity to grasp its essence, you inadvertently dilute your own focus, diminishing the very power of your own conviction. Therefore, silence should not be misconstrued as an act of withdrawal, or retreat from the world and its challenges. On the contrary, it is an act of profound preservation, a deliberate attempt to safeguard the very wellspring of creativity and ingenuity. It is the indispensable buffer zone, the sacred space where high-level thinking can flourish uninterrupted, free from the distractions and demands of the external world. Thus, by embracing silence, we embrace the potential for true and lasting achievement. Aristotle, the renowned philosopher, profoundly believed that excellence is not an act but a habit. Consequently, habits, those cornerstones of personal growth, are cultivated in the serene, undisturbed moments nestled between the clamor of daily life. They take root in the unseen choices, the private disciplines, and the countless hours of repetition that initially offer no immediate reward. However, as time unfolds, this relentless repetition solidifies into reality. This crafted reality, in turn, shapes one's identity. And ultimately, that forged identity blossoms into an unshakable power, a power that no external force can diminish because it was built from within, not constructed for the validation or approval of others. Therefore, transformation is not some dramatic, cinematic event where life undergoes a sudden and complete overhaul. It isn't a singular breakthrough, a fleeting motivational surge, or that fabled, someday, when you magically pull your life together. It transcends the goals you announce online or the promises you make to the external world. Authentic transformation is, in essence, a system. It is a daily practice, often repetitive, and occasionally even monotonous. Yet, it is within this very repetition that true and lasting power is forged. You see, one doesn't simply rise to meet predetermined goals, one inevitably falls to the level of their established systems. And here is the crux of the matter: goals are inherently emotional. You might feel inspired in a given moment, prompting you to jot something down with fervent enthusiasm. However, this initial spark, while powerful, is fleeting without the support of a robust system. A surge of excitement grips you, propelling you forward to take that crucial first step. However, as time passes, those initial feelings inevitably begin to wane, goals undergo a metamorphosis, and the unpredictable currents of life often intervene. What remains steadfast amidst this flux, however, is structure. Systems, you see, are fundamentally built upon ingrained behavior, not fleeting moods. And when you consciously begin to weave structure into the very fabric of your existence, when you rise each morning at the same predetermined hour, diligently engage your body in consistent movement, nourish yourself with intention and purpose, and actively eliminate the unnecessary clutter that surrounds you, you effectively liberate yourself from the unreliable shackles of mere motivation. Instead, you begin to depend upon the more dependable power of rhythm. And rhythm, as experience demonstrates, is demonstrably more reliable and consistent than fleeting inspiration. But why, you might ask, is this so incredibly important? The answer lies in the simple truth that without a solid framework of structure in place, your mind tends to wander aimlessly, your emotion seize control of the metaphorical steering wheel, and this inevitably leads to inconsistency. Inconsistency, it must be emphasized, is the sworn enemy of identity. As the esteemed Aristotle eloquently wrote, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not merely an act, but a deeply ingrained habit. You do not magically transform into an excellent individual simply by entertaining excellent thoughts. Instead, you cultivate excellence by diligently building habits that actively support the type of person you aspire to be, one deliberate action at a time. And this journey, significantly, begins with the body. There exists a profound reason why the Stoics, those ancient practitioners of wisdom, trained themselves physically just as assiduously as they trained their minds. They possessed a deep understanding that discipline cultivated in the body seamlessly translates to unwavering discipline in the mind. Thus, by embracing structure and rhythm, you embark on a path toward consistency, identity, and ultimately, excellence. When you dedicate yourself to training, you are not merely enhancing your physical well-being. In reality, you are fundamentally reshaping your very relationship with the concept of effort. It is a profound transformation. You are actively cultivating the essential skill of showing up, of being present, even on those days when motivation seems utterly absent. You are learning to bravely endure discomfort, to tenaciously push beyond the inherent resistance that arises, and to steadfastly stay the course, even without the immediate gratification of an instant reward. Therefore, it's not simply a matter of vanity. This is deep inner development, the forging of a resilient spirit. However, let us be unequivocally honest, the beginning is undeniably challenging. Initially, silence may feel unnatural, even disconcerting. The structured nature of a routine can, at first, feel restrictive and confining. The temptation to break free from it will undoubtedly arise. You might feel an overwhelming urge to prove to someone, anyone, that you are indeed working diligently. You will want to loudly broadcast your progress, seeking external validation and approval. But beware, that is precisely the trap. The esteemed Carl Jung once wisely stated, your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Therefore, remember that silence is not merely an absence, it is, in fact, a profound presence. When you consciously remove the distractions, the incessant noise, and the relentless pressure to perform, you are left with the most important thing, yourself. And it is precisely there, in that quiet space, that real, lasting transformation begins to take root and flourish. The more you willingly sit in that discomfort, the more readily your mind adapts and becomes accustomed to it. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, you begin to cease craving the external noise and validation. The sense of urgency begins to fade, and the pervasive fear of being unseen or unnoticed slowly dissolves, replaced by a quiet confidence and inner peace. Thus, the journey of self-improvement is not just physical, it is a deeply personal and profoundly rewarding experience. And what remains is a profoundly serene, yet powerful presence, a steadfast, focused, and utterly clear state of being. This is the fruit of internal labor. Consequently, you begin to make decisions that are truly aligned with your authentic self, your core values. You no longer feel compelled to explain yourself, your choices, to those individuals who, from the very beginning, never bothered to genuinely understand you. Instead, you walk your own unique path, not for the gaze of onlookers, not for external validation, but simply because it is your path, your destiny to embrace. Have you perhaps observed that those individuals who possess a true and palpable gravity, a substantial presence, in any given room, are often the quietest among us? It is not a matter of mere charisma, of fleeting external appeal, but rather a question of inner coherence, of integrity of being. They are not fragmented, scattered in their energies. They are not merely performing for an audience, putting on a facade. Instead, they have diligently performed the internal work, the necessary self-reflection and transformation, and this effort radiates outward, visible to all. These individuals have actively chosen silence, not as a form of withdrawal from the world, or retreat from engagement, but rather as a process of refinement, of internal distillation, as a demonstration of self-control, of mastering one's inner landscape. The ancient philosopher, Socrates, believed profoundly that the true secret of change is to focus all of one's energy, all of one's intention, not on the futile act of fighting the old, of wrestling with the past, but instead on the constructive act of building the new, of creating a better future. And that, precisely, is what silence allows. It grants us the space and the clarity to build anew. Eventually, your quiet consistency, your steadfast devotion to your chosen path, becomes impossible for others to ignore. People will inevitably take notice. However, by that point, the recognition, the external validation, will no longer matter. You will already be living from a place of deep internal reward, a wellspring of inner satisfaction. You will not need the applause of the crowd to know that you are indeed on the right path, that you are walking in alignment with your true purpose. The peace you feel, the strength you carry within, the clarity you so vigilantly protect, that will be your true and enduring reward. And no one, absolutely no one, can ever take that from you, because it was not given to you by the world, by external circumstances. It was earned, laboriously and with intention, in the silence of your own heart. And in the ultimate analysis, that is the true essence of authentic transformation. It isn't characterized by boisterous displays or melodramatic gestures. Rather, it manifests as a gradual, unwavering process, deeply entrenched and intentionally orchestrated. This transformation originates and evolves from within, organically shaping the individual. Silence, often misconstrued as a deficiency, is, in reality, the wellspring of genuine fortitude. Indeed, it is during those tranquil, solitary moments, when free from external scrutiny, that you mold the very essence of the individual the world will eventually find impossible to disregard. Therefore, it's not imperative to publicize each and every advancement you make. Instead, continue to persevere, taking each step with intention, and consistently presenting your authentic self. Consequently, the fruits of your efforts will undoubtedly make themselves known when the opportune moment arrives. We extend our sincere gratitude for your participation in them. We encourage you to remain steadfast in your endeavors, maintain unwavering focus on your goals, and when you feel prepared to continue your journey, return to us. We will be here, steadfastly awaiting your return, ready to support you. Remember, true strength is often cultivated in the quietest of moments, and it is in these moments that we truly define ourselves. Thus, embrace the power of silence and let your actions speak louder than words. We wish you well on your path of self-discovery and look forward to welcoming you back whenever you are ready. We believe in your potential and are here to provide guidance and inspiration as you continue to grow and evolve.